Hi, guys. Welcome to the TIP podcast. TIP stands for the Transformative Ideas and People podcast. And today we're going to be speaking to none other than Jason Gold. He's one of my really cool friends. In fact, he helped me build the logo for Vegan Bear, which is a restaurant I ran for a year in Toronto, downtown Toronto. He was vegan himself. He's a musician, a busker, just all-rounded, really creative, really cool individual. And the reason we're talking to Jason today because he has survived a very peculiar type of issue he went through called leukemia. We're going to talk to him today. He's in his really cool bedroom studio, as you can see. So how's it going, Jason? How are you?
It's good. Good to see your face, man. It literally turned winter last night. So I was out just getting my groceries delivered, and I'm like, not bad weather, eh? It's like, yeah, it just turned frozen all of a sudden.
Damn. I'm out in Seattle and it's been colder
Yeah.
here than Toronto. I've been checking the temperature. Right now, I just got back from the gym and it was like there was sleet, like frozen water, not quite snow, but it's crazy, man. Global warming.
Is that supposed to happen in Seattle?
It gets pretty cold here in Seattle, but like this time it's been colder than usual, I'd say. So it is what it is. But anyways, Jason, I want to get right into this so people can know. Can you explain how long ago did you get leukemia? How long has it been?
Well, yeah, that's always a funny question because, well, I found out about it. Pretty much 2020, 2022, 2022, like July 2022.
Okay.
Yeah. Oh yeah, it's just turned January now.
Almost 2 years ago, a year and a half or so ago. Okay.
Yeah, that was the diagnosis day, and I was, I guess I'm like, the question is, yeah, that's the answer for that. Yeah.
Okay. And what is leukemia exactly? If you were to just give a little brief summary to people.
Yeah, basically, I even know what the word's made out of. So Luke means light, which is funny, and hemia, hemoglobin, hemia.
Okay.
That's blood, right? So it literally means light blood, but the reason they named it that is because of someone's name and everything. But it's basically the blood, has many components to it. So there's, the plasma, there's the neutrophils, there's the oxygen. And so basically with leukemia, it's very common for you to have low energy because you don't have enough oxygen being created in your blood. So I don't know if my blood was like that all the time, like when I was a kid, and all it has to do with like measuring these levels as to what's normal and what's abnormal. So basically, let me give you my count. So in the blood count, we have a thing called the neutrophils, and that's a marker for essentially your immune system in one way, but it's a marker of your blood. So if you do blood work, you'll see, hemoglobin, neutrophils, white blood cells. So my level when I was admitted to hospital was like less than 10. And when somebody asked me how did that usually look, because we don't even know how you're up and about right now, because like, how are you even alive? But I didn't know anything about that, right? I knew nothing. So I thought 10, like 10 out of 10, 1 to 10. So is that good? And I said, it's not. 10 is not good. So basically, it was always 10 going down to nothing. So that's why at that time, like usually when you find out something's up, like you'll get extremely lethargic, right? So I literally had trouble walking down the street. Like I'd get halfway, I'd have to hang on to a tree, and I would be like, I can't breathe. I have no energy. And that's because the oxygen in your blood is the thing that gives all your vital organs the ability to do what they do, right? So the oxygen level was just not there, therefore everything can start failing. So the good news is, because I found that out, I was able to do something about it, but I didn't know what was happening to me. I just thought I was exercising too much and that I got winded. And then I noticed that every once in a while, and then I was getting slower and weaker. And there are all of these things that are kind of the effects that leukemia can give you as a hint that something's wrong with your blood.
Right.
And so when I ended up in the emergency room, because I literally like almost collapsed, and then everyone said, "You're pale as a ghost," and something's not right. I was like, "Yeah, I think I'm cool. I just need to sit back for a bit." I'm like, "No, you need to go to the hospital." So when I ended up there and they did the blood test and the count, that they were like, "You might have leukemia." And I thought, "Oh shit." That I just thought I was that means I'm dead, actually, because I know what it meant. Right? But it can mean that, right? Because leukemia, for instance, I found out this there was this kid who got leukemia and it affected his eyes. So say no oxygen's getting to your eye, so his eyes kind of atrophied, like they didn't work properly, and then he went blind.
Wow.
So that's what's scary about it. Like I caught it early on. I already knew my breathing was messed up, and I thought it was because I was doing too much, because I was like going to school. I was, and it was like this intense course that was all compressed. So I was like always trying to get to school and study and go there. And I just thought, oh, I'm just like pushing myself too hard. I'm like, no, there's something else. There's something else going on. I can't figure it out. Wow. It was kind of a thing that I ended up there. And then they did verify it after they did all the lab tests and stuff. And then I was still like, what does this mean now? Like
that's pretty crazy, Jason. How long were you in the hospital for? Like how, a full year long, or?
Yeah, pretty much. And I was in and out too. So even when I was out, so this is what happens. The problem was I started to do this. There's many different types of therapies that exist.
Yeah.
I chose to do one of the harshest ones. Not that I wanted to, but out of the options. This is what was interesting. They said, you're kind of young, so if you were 70, we probably wouldn't advise this therapy because you couldn't take it, like your body couldn't take it. So I thought, okay, if you do this very harsh round of chemotherapy, it's going to be like, let's get at it as hard as we can with all these drugs and things, and like kill it and push it out. And I went through all these side effects, like all these skin rashes. And
oh my gosh.
got blind with all of these medications, all these wafers I essentially had to sign. And after that, it didn't work. So I was
couldn't see? You mean you got blinded, like you couldn't see?
That's one of the possible side effects with the amount of the drugs can affect your body. So I had to do these eye drops during that time, just in case my eyes were gonna get all wacky. So thankfully that didn't happen, right? But the good thing, speaking on behalf, as strange as it is, when you take these like harsh chemicals, they have other drugs to combat the side effects, which is what's scary, right? You sign up to these drugs, and it said this could give you this diarrhea, you could lose your eyesight, a long list. You're gonna do it, right? And you're like, okay. You're like, don't worry, we have all these other drugs that'll help if that becomes a problem. Right. And I'm like, but I've never gone through this, so yes. or no? Do I have any choices? And that was the tricky thing, because they said, we got to act on it now. And I was just like, what is this? I just found out about this yesterday. Like, do you want to do this, or this? So I just had to, I say, go with what was available out of the choices I had. And I could have said I regretted that choice.
Yeah.
I had extreme scarring of my body, like all of this redness and this purple blotches all over my skin after all of that first round. And that was a drug that I was getting intravenously put into me. So that's what's intense. Like, the reason it's intravenous is because it's already intense, right? If we're going to put this to you another way, it's better to just do it like this, or else it'll do something else to whatever. And yeah, that was called cytarabine. That's used for many other cancer treatments, but I was like, well, that wasn't fun. That was painful. That was the one that I felt like the fluid in my veins were just full of pain, ready to explode. And then I couldn't really walk.
Wow. That's an intense feeling.
Yeah, the pain and the atrophying of being in the bed, not walking, then you have to do this calisthenics. And then you're in this pain now. So imagine if you filled your veins with liquid so they feel tight, and then that also is painful, like, consistently. So you're just sitting like, okay.
My goodness. I just want to know, Jason.
Every time you stood up, you're like, oh God. And they're like, you have to do this, because if you don't, like, your muscles will atrophy. So they were like, you can't just lay in bed. I know it's painful. And I'm like, I know I signed up for this. And it's varying degrees of pain, no matter who you are. But that was the first treatment, right? Which by the end of it, I just didn't even have time to really soak it in. It was just like, it's gotten worse. Cancer's proliferated more. More cancer. And I was like, okay, what else do we do now? And I quickly went, what do we do now? And it could have been really depressing, right? But I just thought, okay, now we know that I'm not going to do that anymore, and I'm still suffering from that. And then it was, okay, let's try a different thing, doc. And this other one was like more pills and injections to the stomach. It was better, but it was still intense in a different way. So I was running out of space in my stomach, right? Because they had all these injection sites. And it was like 7 needles in my stomach. Like,
what?
Every couple of days. I can't even believe this all happened within that year. It was so intense. Wow. And I was like, the other one didn't have needles that had intravenous painful veins. This one is just like, it's time. And I'm like, do we have to?
Oh,
and
my
then it's
goodness.
like, you got to do it to yourself now. It's better if you learn how to do it to yourself. And I'm like, I don't want to check.
Jason, I want to know, was this, as a Canadian in Canada, was this all covered by the government?
The second treatment was not. So by miracle of my awesome doctor, this second treatment, I went with it because it was more gentle, but it had a high success rate. But the drug technically hadn't been, what's it called, by the Board of Medicine, whatever it's called, allowed in Canada yet. But in Europe, it had been effective for at least the last 5 years. It had been used, and there's been significant remission status with it. So I actually had to, my doctor had to find a compassionate donor. And so just even doing your podcast, right, just to help spread awareness, like, it's like, because an amazing, who knows, donor person helped me cover all of that. And it's quite
really
thing. Like, even some of my medicine,
like, how much like, was it that they donated?
Oh, it's a lot. And even though all of the things I went through, like money wise, were a lot. Like stem cells is the other one after all of this, right? So I would say the second part of the journey is when it went wrong and we switched to this one. But I
Yeah.
didn't know if I could do it, right? Because it's like, well, we can't just do it because we need like someone to fund that. And but he was confident he could find somebody, and he's amazing. He's wow. I don't know if I should say his name out here, but I mean, speaking in a good thing. But he did a lot of things, right? He's also like,
Well, what is his name? Why not? If it's for
yeah,
good.
he's Dr. Carpentier.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah,
Is he a
so I
popular
didn't even.
Is he a popular doctor in
Well,
Toronto?
my dad said he Googled him and he said he's a busy guy. He's like part time, like a teacher assistant at U of T also, and doing all of this, and looking at
He's
the
a
late.
cancer research professor at U of T or something like that.
I don't know exactly what he was
Mhm.
doing, but in the medical profession at U of T, there's lots of different branches of medicine. So he was teaching, helping assist teaching something
Mhm.
in the medical profession for U of T
I want to
University.
know, switching back to the money part. I just like the fact, I really like the fact that in Canada we can get at least basic treatments for a lot of
Yes,
things, even
very
if
true.
you're completely broke, whatever,
Yeah.
homeless, so I'm just curious, what percentage of your entire treatment was covered by OHIP, by Ontario Health?
Yeah, it was a lot of it, actually, most of it.
What would you say, like 70%, 80%?
Yep.
Okay. And that other percentage was donated by some donor?
Yeah, for that treatment, which was my third treatment, that was the one where it's like you're gonna have to pay for this if we can get it and get everyone to agree this is what we're gonna do. So there's a lot of the bureaucracy of like for us to even be considered, I have to have tried this and realized that didn't work.
Yeah.
And I would have had to go through all of these options. And it's like, okay, is there anything else we can do beyond clinical trials? And I didn't want to do clinical trials, understandably.
Yeah.
Like they haven't really got any data.
What do you think was the estimated cost of your entire treatment up until now?
Um,
Up until now, because you're still
really
going through some
difficult for
treatments.
me to say. I'd have to like get all my huge files out, and
Would it be
I
would it
have
be in
no
the
idea.
hundreds? Have you seen bills? Like, would it be in the hundreds of
I
thousands?
mean, just even my hospital stay was insane. Like when I was billed for it, and I had to say, "Hey, I don't agree to this." It was insane. Like I was just like, I literally telling you, if I was in this country, I might be a goner right now because I wouldn't be able to afford any of this. So it's not even the treatment, right? Like from being
Right.
in the hospital for the hospital
Hospitalized, yeah. And
room
you're getting
fee.
food, you're getting everything.
Yeah, that was a hefty sum for even like a couple of months. It was like, shoot, man, what am I gonna do? But then
So
we had
would you say it would be upwards to hundreds of thousands of dollars in your
yeah,
entire, easily, right? Yeah.
yeah. So it's really interesting because it is an industry, right? So even the things that I agreed to do, there's a lot of studies tied to get the data from me. So the funny thing was, one of my nurses at the end, when I was in the stem cell transplant,
Yeah.
that's way down the line. That's the third thing we did after things were not improving. Basically, the second one I
Yeah.
did, the drug was the injection and the pills, which was called venetoclax,
Hmm.
and even sounds like it's from space. I was like, yeah, that's what I'll do. Or I was like, it sounds like a prehistoric bird. But
Wow.
that's how I remembered it. And yeah, that one definitely brought my counts to, well, I was still at zero. I had nothing. I was on. So literally, it was like the reason I was alive and functioning was because I kept getting blood transfusions.
Wow.
Yeah, every
Really?
day.
Oh,
So like right
wow.
now I'm still doing what's called a phlebotomy, where I have to rid my body of iron because I've had, geez, hundreds and hundreds of blood transfusions like every other day, right? So
Wow.
so people remembered me. I joked with the nurses I'm on the tour of the hospitals because I kept going to other hospitals and landing in other emergency rooms. But when I first landed in there, I was wearing a maroon suit because I
Mhm.
just came from the suit store. I was like doing co-op with Sur Monsieur, and they were. I literally just came from there, and then I ended up at the hospital. So I was wearing a suit, and then I had all these IVs stuck to me, like all over my hands, and blood transfusion for 24 hours. Like get this guy's counts up so he can function because I had
My
no
gosh.
oxygen. So I literally, it was a blur to me. Like within 24 hours, I had how much blood, you know, through my body. And in the last year or so, I don't know how many people came through that. So my joke with my musician friend is like, on a spiritual level, it's like maybe I really did become vibration of the one. Like many people's blood has helped me be alive.
That's true. Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
So thankful
And
to all
I
these
started to
people
think,
that donate
how did that
blood. Oh
affect
my gosh.
how did that affect you?
Wow. So
And that
thankful
was
to
a
all
journey in
these.
itself because
Yeah.
you can get reactions from blood.
Mm.
So I got one of the common things you can get if your blood types don't jive together, right? You can get all of these reactions and hives. So I had to go through that. Like
Wow,
all of a
really?
sudden,
You had
I'm like,
reactions
oh,
sometimes?
yeah, I got some really bad, like crazy pictures, or when I showed it to people, I'm like, oh my God, it's like you're turning into Gollum or something. Like these huge bumps are coming out of my head.
Oh my
And
gosh.
and then you need other drugs to, well, they have to figure out which drugs to give you to calm that down. And then, yeah, it's a very long story. Like if
Yeah.
we want to focus on
No, I
the
know. No, no, no.
difficulties,
I just,
but if
yeah.
we want to focus
This is
on,
insane. No, I was just gonna tell you, man, like thankful to all these people that donated blood. I have never,
exactly,
listen,
yeah.
I have never donated blood in my life. And the reason is I went to a donation center and I was going to, but I'm just shit scared because
Yeah,
most of my life I have like fainted. Even if they do the blood test, like I
yeah,
have fainted. So giving blood is like
yeah,
a lot more blood. You know what I mean? So, but I feel like I still need to do it. I need to get through that fear, and I need to do it because I see how valuable and important it is. I mean,
yeah. And I
that's
think
amazing, man.
just want to thank you too, man, because in between all of that, you're messaging me like, hey, I want to come visit. And I was just like, how to explain my topsy turvy world of emergencies? It's always
Yeah,
something different.
yeah.
So, like the first round, or when I first got put in uh, to live in the hospital,
Mm,
basically, the way I kept up my sense of humor, just like joking, I had my guitar with me still.
mm.
Funnily enough, the rooms I was situated in were like, I don't know how I ended up in those rooms, but people would come in and be like, oh, you scored the nicest room in the hospital. You're like in the penthouse of the hospital. I'm like, I am?
I
It's like,
saw your
yeah,
story.
usually,
Yeah,
usually
yeah.
you're like this, crushed next to all these other beds. And I'm like, oh, well, it's been helping me relax, right?
Yeah,
But
no
then I
shit.
lived through, that they kept saying like, oh, someone else needs this. We're gonna have to demote you from the penthouse to another one. But it was true when I went to the other rooms. I really missed that room. See all of downtown
I saw
University.
your story. I saw your Insta story. You're up in the penthouse. It looked incredible. Yeah.
Yeah,
Like
I
you
was looking
deserve. I'm
too.
like you deserve that, man. But Jason, I want to know. We have about 8 minutes left here,
Yeah,
on the timer. But what I really want to know, and I feel like what most people want to know, right,
yeah.
from something like this, is the most important part is how the hell did you get through this? What was your mental?
Oh
I know
man.
you just mentioned right now, humor. I know you're
Yeah,
humorous, you got your music, but when you can't move your body for mostly a year and a half, you can't do much. You're getting all
Yeah.
these stumps on your skin. Like, what was the mental strategy?
Well,
Like, what did you exactly do to stay strong? It's
it
crazy.
was
Most
meditation, right?
people would give up. You know what I mean?
It was meditation, and I say a big part of it because I was already a meditator before that, right?
Mm-hmm.
So even when I told people I couldn't basically walk to school, it got
Mm-hmm.
worse and worse and worse. I told people I was listening to, mantras like over and over, like on loop for every step, or like the Superman theme song, like on loop, like
Mm-hmm.
every step that I was taking. And it's just a practice of meditation, right? It was just like to let go of all thoughts and just be okay. Just be like, I don't have to engage those thoughts right
You
now.
were able to put your earphones on, or you had the nurses put earphones on you?
Oh no, I could do that. Yeah.
You could put your earphones on, play your
Yeah.
music. Okay.
Yeah. You're allowed to bring, things if you're gonna go live in the hospital. First I didn't, because I thought, oh, I'm supposed to do all this stuff. It's not my house or anything, right? But they said you're gonna be here for a while, so you might wanna, you know, get some furniture or something. And they're kind of like,
So
yeah,
meditation, music, mantras. What
journaling.
else? What was the main mental? Like, what did you tell yourself
Well,
every day,
it,
day and night, to stay alive and not give
well,
up?
well, basically, it was you had to understand what was going on. So first, I didn't tell anyone because I had no idea what was going on. So when I actually got an understanding of what's going on in my body and what are my choices and what do I have to head to next, what's my aim, my definite chief aim towards. Um, and so initially, like in the first treatment, it was like, okay, just live through the first round of chemotherapy, see what happens, and see what happens to my blood work and everything.
Yeah.
And then that was the aim. And then that aim, even though every day I was focusing on just like even just standing up. Today I will stand up, right? And I will be able to exercise and there won't be any pain. But it was always kind of like, don't think too far ahead. Of course I want to get better, but this is a long journey. Like at the very beginning I'm like, oh my, okay, so little steps, like what's the next little thing I have to do? It was always like that. So the journal helped me, right? Because I didn't even know all the stuff everyone was talking about.
You
So
journaled?
writing everything down and
Okay.
what I was doing and what happened yesterday. So tracking, journaling.
Mm-hmm.
So, even now if I go back to that journal, I feel like, oh wow, look what I was going through back then. And then I would be like, what am I aiming for? What do I want to occur out of all of this?
Mm-hmm.
What's the highest
Mm-hmm.
possible good, or the trajectory I want to be on? And I I like laser focused on that all the time. And that's what was funny, because before the hospital, I was laser trajectory on finishing school. And then so much so I finished my last essay in the hospital bed because I just finished school, and then I just finished my co-op, and then I
Wow.
landed in the hospital.
Wow.
And
Wow.
I was like, okay, next thing. And then I thought maybe this is also a blessing, because I've just been like for several months just on the grind, like half
That's
asleep.
insane. That's insane. Jason,
So
we're gonna have to end it here. Just 4 minutes left. But before you leave, in fact, I don't know if we have. Do you have your guitar around you?
I have many.
Okay.
They're all
Okay.
basically,
One
yeah,
thing I want you to tell people before you
yeah.
leave is what's one thing, the number one thing one can do, just one sentence one can do, or 2 words one can do to stay strong in a difficult situation, in a crazy situation like you've been through. What's the number one thing?
Yeah, basically like a line like know yourself is very useful, right? So when I say that, that encompasses a lot of things like
Mhm.
meditation or whatever, or this, right? I was singing to nurses and like, guess what song this is? And it made the hospital fun, right?
That's
So,
amazing.
so
That's
when I
amazing.
started to do that, I started to feel better. But initially I didn't bring my guitar because I couldn't use my hands.
Oh my
It was,
gosh.
yeah, my hands were all swollen, right?
Wow.
And I've gone
Wow.
through 3 different iterations of messing up my hands because, like, the third one after the stem cell transplant, we can maybe talk about that some other time if you want. Like, it disfigured my fingernails.
Oh
And
my
it
goodness.
like
Oh my,
disfigured a lot of things, and
oh
it was
my goodness.
painful. It had
I
to
think
fall
we'll
out.
have to, Jason, I think we'll have to have maybe another episode to talk about other stuff. This is crazy. So know yourself and know what works for you, know what makes you happy. We got
Yeah.
about 2 minutes left. Can you play a little bit of music for us to end it off, please? Just maybe
Yeah.
something you played for the nurses. And
Something
we'll
I
end
played,
it there. Thanks for listening, guys.
and we won't get flagged because I'm doing my mantra stuff
Nah,
on
dude,
it.
mantra, yeah. Let's hear it out. Thank you so much, Jason. I appreciate it, man.
Thanks, man.
Some
The
more,
tip,
some more, some more.
tip.
I don't know. It's not loud enough for some reason.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Maybe it's done the recording, you hear it, but you don't hear it now, right? Because I just had that happen with my last live stream. It's like, I can't hear you, man. But yeah, it's definitely good to be in Canada. I can't say that I may not have lived to tell the tale, right?
Yeah.
Because right now I'm on YouTube, just sometimes talking to people about their scenario. Like the scenario is like, should I do this? Should I not? But then some of the scenarios, like, I don't even have that option. That's what's scary.
That's crazy.
Right?
That's crazy.
Yeah.
Well,
That's what
guys,
makes.
well, Jason, thank you so much for your time. Thanks for playing this. We have 1 minute left. I want to thank everyone for listening to us. Thank you so much again, Jason. If you guys want to follow Jason's story and more of what Jason does, look at Vibration of the One on Instagram. He's on other social media. I'm going to put it down in the link on the YouTube. So thanks, guys. Thanks, Jason. And peace.
Before you leave, let's take one deep breath together.